I'm just gonna pass around a bit. If you guys would like to donate, there's like these really sexy bracelets beside. Orange is definitely my color. So if you guys do have some spare change, we really appreciate it. It's going to Down Avenue this year. I'll make my regular spiel. 30,000 people in Canada suffer from homelessness on any given night. 6,000 of which are chronically here in Montreal and are women. Down Avenue has a huge campaign going this year, and we really appreciate all the support. So if you want to steal a bracelet, please don't steal, please donate. And that's all. Thank you very much.
It also goes to Shidoras, which is a
That's true, yeah.
The donation really quick.
And on that note, we can get the meeting started.
Ideally $5.
So, welcome everybody. I'll start off the meeting by reading out the Native Solidarity Statement. So, we'd like to acknowledge that Concordia University is on the traditional territory of the Ganya and Gayaga. The place has just long served as a site of meeting and exchange of nations. The Concordia Student Union recognizes and respects the Ganya and Gayaga as the traditional custodians of the lands and waters on which we meet today. Welcome everybody. The roll call sheet is in the back. Please sign it at some point if you haven't had a chance to yet. I have some requests for excusals for absences. Let's go through those right now. I'm going to read them out, starting with Kate, who writes, I hope everyone's having a great day. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend the council meeting tonight as I've been feeling ill for a few days. This will be followed by a doctor's appointment tomorrow. I hope council will excuse my absence as I've been trying to find energy to attend all day. Anthony writes, I will unfortunately be unable to attend tonight's council meeting. I need to deal with late-minute logistical concerns for tomorrow's speaking event. One of the speakers and his team wanted to speak to me about his part in the event, etc. I need to finish last-minute logistical details before it gets too late. I apologize for my absence. Maggie Briere writes, hello everyone. I want to apologize as I will either be coming late or not able to attend tonight's meeting due to a scheduling conflict with an interview at the Loyola campus. I hope council can excuse me. And lastly, Fatty writes, hello council, unfortunately I won't be able to make it to this week's meeting as I'm working with the Engineering and Commerce case competition, which is from Tuesday to Sunday. So these are the requests for excusal. I can entertain discussion about the specifics of the excusals or a motion. Yes?
Yeah, sure. I might be questionably out of line, but just whatever. Last council meeting, I was absent, as some of you know, and that was because I was called into work at the last minute, as I had sent Matt an email. I'll also speak for Tamer, who isn't here today. Tamer was at a case competition last council meeting, and he wasn't excused for the same reason. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Like personally, I think Anthony and the fourth person whose name escapes me. Whose name escapes me? Fatty, yeah, thank you. I personally think they should be excused because I don't think, working at the last minute or going to a case competition are necessarily, because they don't want to be at councils, because they have a job to do. And so if we do excuse these two absences, I would ask that council reconsiders the motion that was passed at the last meeting to then retroactively excuse my absence and Tamer's absence for similar reasons, just to make sure that it is consistent. Yeah, so just wanted to throw that out there in case anybody was questioning.
So just procedurally, retroactive excusals would have to be a separate motion because they require 3/4 vote.
Yeah, for sure.
Ben?
I just want to move to excuse Anthony.
Okay, so there's a motion to excuse Anthony from this week's meeting. Do you have a seconder? Yeah, secretary. Okay. Any discussion, motive?
Yeah, we talked about this before. We know how regrettable it is for him to miss the meeting. But I mean, he made the call. It's a logistical concern. The event is tomorrow. It's probably a good call that he's doing this. So I just wanted to, I think it's a good idea to excuse him.
Okay, thanks. Yes, Scott.
Just out of curiosity, just for precedent's sake, we're saying that, to me, with this vote, we're saying that either it's okay or it's not okay to miss it for work concerns, period. Because this is work, regardless whether it's work for the board that you have. Mm-hmm. At this point in time, it's pretty clear.
Okay, looks like I'm getting rid of the speakers list going. Charles, that's all you need. Can we get next?
Just wanted to respond to Scott's comments that I think we should always look at it case by case when it comes in and not create a blanket policy because that seems to be the best way to move ahead.
Thanks. Sorry.
Just to echo what Charles was saying, it stipulates in the standing regulations that that work is not included, so we would have to modify the standing regulations, and I don't think this is setting any sort of precedent.
Thanks. Ben?
Yeah, no, I just, there's, like, I think there's a difference between, like, executives missing for work that is essentially of the union, and other people missing meetings for work that is for other commitments not related to this. I mean, it's either a call where we would like to have an event that will be less organized, or we'd like our executive to be organizing the event as the person who knows specifically what needs to be done, as he makes the call. I mean, anyways, I think it's better to have more organized events, personally. Yeah. So.
Thank you. Mike?
I don't want to beat a dead horse, and while I respect what Ben is saying about, or what Charles said by case, and then what Ben is echoing in terms of, union versus not union, I think that's very, very unfair. I certainly agree that it's better to have organized events, 100%. But the fact that Anthony works for the CSU, and the fact that I work for a different organization, I don't think that really merits an excuse of one versus the other, regardless of whether it's a case by case. So yeah. Although I still think Anthony should be excused.
Okay, thank you very much. If that exhausts discussion, we can proceed to a vote. This is the vote to excuse Anthony from tonight's meeting. Okay, so those in favor of excusing Anthony, please raise your placards. Thank you. Those opposed? And abstentions? Okay, that carries. So with Anthony excused, it still leaves a number of counselors, or 2 counselors and 1 executive, whose excusals have not been addressed yet. Michael.
I move to excuse all absences in omnibus.
Could you repeat that?
Just move to excuse everyone's absence.
Everyone that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion is to excuse Kate, Mahia, and Fatty. Is there a second? Okay, hold on. Michael, would you care to motivate?
I think the rest of them are all reasonable reasons as well. Reasonable reasons, law. Reasonable justifications for their absence.
Thank you. Chloe?
I just want to say I think it's a bit strange that we're excusing Fatty for the same reason that we didn't excuse Timor, is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Last week. That's just my personal.
Thank you. Marcus?
Perfect timing.
Yeah, just as a refresher, could we have them read out again?
You'd like me to, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so as far as the people excusing that we're discussing currently, there's Kate, who writes, unfortunately I will not be able to attend the council meeting tonight as I've been feeling ill for a few days. This will be followed by a doctor's appointment. I hope council will excuse my absence as I've been trying to find the energy to attend tonight's meeting all day. Nahibia writes, I want to apologize. I will either be coming late or not be able to attend the meeting tonight due to a scheduling conflict with an interview at the Loyola campus. I hope the council can excuse me. And Fatty writes, unfortunately I won't be able to make it to this week's meeting as I'm working with the engineering and commerce case competition, which is from Tuesday to Sunday.
Point of information, does it say what kind of interview it is?
There was no specific detail.
Probably job interview.
Well, just speaking from co-op experience, job interviews are often a very untimely place, but it's a greater importance that is placed on them in the co-op program,
Mm-hmm.
even so more so than classes. So that's, to me, a very good reason.
Thank you. That exhausts discussion, and we can proceed to a vote. And again, this is for Kate, the executive, and the councillors Marie-Bria and Fatty. So those in favor of excusals, please raise your placards.
Really?
Okay.
Law.
Those opposed? And abstentions? Okay, so that's defeated. Usually this again with the one councillor Kate and Nadia and Fatty as far as excusals whether they be addressed. Michael.
I move to excuse Kate's absence.
That requires a seconder. Terry, okay. If you're okay to motivate, we can proceed to speakers list.
No.
Okay. All right, if there's no discussion regarding Kate, I can go to a vote. Those in favor of excusing Kate?
Sorry, quick question. Could you read her email again?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everybody. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend the council meeting tonight as I've been feeling ill for a few days. This will be followed by a doctor's appointment. I really hope council will excuse my absence as I've been trying to find energy to attend this meeting all day. All right, so those in favor of excusing Kate, please raise your placards. Those opposed? And abstentions? Okay, that carries. Thank you. And please, Matthew Bier and Fatty.
Oh, excuse me. I
Yeah.
moved to excuse. I'm not sure which one it was that had the interview.
Matthew Bier had the interview, and Fatty had the commerce case competition, engineering and commerce case competition.
For now, I'll move to excuse Marie.
Yeah, Matthew Bier.
Marie, yeah.
Okay, seconded Chloe. Motivate?
I've already my previous comment.
Okay, great. Yes, Scott.
So again, seems like there's quite a bit of nitpicking, and I don't really understand the differentiation. I do understand the differentiation between interview and having to work, but at this point in time, it just seems very strange that emergency cases with work yet aren't excused, yet interviews seem to be okay. I don't know. It just all seems very, very, very strange. And a lot of abstentions also seems very strange, all considering.
Okay, if there's no further discussion on the point from Matthew Bier, we can proceed to a vote. Those in favor of excusing, raise your placards. And those opposed? Abstentions? How'd that go? Okay. Alright, so that was 4 for and 4 against, so that is a tie vote with 8 abstentions.
How many people are there left to excuse?
There's Matthew Bier, which proceeded, which was a tie vote,
So
and
the motion
there's
failed on her just now?
yeah, that's right. And
Okay.
there's Fatty.
Okay, I'm going to move to excuse Fatty
Okay.
with no motivation.
All right. Michael's at the seconding. Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry,
Nick.
no, I was voting. My bad.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if there's no discussion, then we can proceed to a vote for Fatty. Those in favor, please raise the placards. Okay, those opposed? And abstentions? Okay, great, that passes. Which leaves us with Matthew Bier. So I can reread the email, or we can do a vote. Yes,
I
Joan.
move to excuse Marie.
All right. Yeah, Matthew seconds. Okay.
Point of order? Didn't the motion fail?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was 6, 4, and 4 again.
No, but for Marie Rivière,
Tied.
yeah, wasn't it a tie?
Yes, it was a tie. Yes. it
Can't
was-
you re-motion for it?
So aren't ties not 50% plus 1?
As far
It's
as,
a failed.
Failed if you're
as
on
far as I'm
the
concerned, if
majority.
it's not 50% plus 1, it's a fail.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's 4 and 4.
So it failed.
So it failed. So we're re-motioning the same motion? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Cool.
Yeah, you've been sleeping?
Yeah. Okay, so that's like Matthew, so any motivation then?
Nope.
Okay, great. With no discussion, we can proceed to a vote. Those in favor of excusing Matthew Bier, please raise your placards.
Can we hold them high, because some of you guys do this, and on tie votes, it's not good. Okay.
All right, those opposed? And abstentions? Okay, that carries. And that does it for excusals unless, oh, that's right, possibly more, yes, Michael.
I move to retroactively excuse my absence and Tamer's absence from council meeting of date X, January 14th. No, January 14th for you, February 11th for myself.
Oh, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, retroactive excusals only work for one previous meeting. So an excusal could not happen for two meetings.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So it would only be if we're considering February 11th preferences.
Is that okay with you?
What?
I can't, council cannot retroactively excuse absences that are further back than one meeting. So we could only consider excusals for February 11th.
Okay.
So then I move to retroactively excuse my own absence from the February 11th meeting for the reasons that were presented earlier.
Okay. Michael, would you care to motivate?
I'm not sure what these guys are telling me. So basically, very quickly, the reasons that I had to work, and we just excused somebody who had to work, somebody who had an interview, and I know that last month, for example, at that February 11th meeting, Anthony was excused for quote unquote personal reasons, as was listed in the minutes. Of course, it's not my business to know what it is, but back to Scott's point, I don't like the fact that we're picking and choosing everything. And after this motion, I'll subsequently introduce a new motion to ask policy committee to maybe revisit what the appropriate guidelines should be moving forward, given everything that's happened in the past year with absences.
Okay.
Thank you.
James?
Just wanted to comment that this went to policy committee last year, and a review took place, and the stipulations were clearly outlined, and I believe they're in the standing regulations now.
Oh yeah, they very much are at standing regulation 82 as far as what does constitute, not constitute a legitimate reason for absence. Cool, Ben?
No, I just want to speak to Anthony's point. It's obviously not appropriate to talk about it, but we did follow up on what the personal reasons were, and they were, they seem legitimate from my perspective. Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, if that exhausts discussion, then we can proceed to a vote. And remember that this is a 3/4 majority vote. So all those in favor of the retroactive excusal of Michael for the February 11th council meeting, please raise your placards.
So you say 3/4 or 2/3?
3/4. 3/4.
Okay.
Those opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, so that carries.
You guys are awesome.
Yes. Well, I have one information, and then I'll get to you, Tim.
Parliamentary inquiry. You said that we can only rescind reconsider motions 1 week past, or is it only for absences?
It's not 1 week past. As far as absences can only be retroactively excuse one regular council meeting in
Okay.
past.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, Tamer.
What I was trying to tell Michael is I moved to excuse myself from the February 11th meeting for the same reasons that we excused Fadi, because I was at a case comp that day as well.
Oh, wasn't okay? Sorry.
Okay, so that is a motion to retroactively excuse yourself from the last regular meeting.
Yes.
Seconded.
Sorry, didn't
Okay. Jenna. All right, well, I'll get to you, James, in just a moment. Would you like to motivate?
Oh, just wanted to put on the speakers list.
Okay, sure.
For exactly the same reasons, I was at a case comp and I could not attend. We just excused Fadi for the same reasons, so I think it's only fair that I be excused for the exact same reason.
Okay, sure. So James, go ahead.
Just to clarify, we can excuse the January 11th, the January council meeting. Do we have two council meetings in January? Did you miss the first council meeting in January?
I'm not trying to do the January.
I know, I'm curious though. Did you miss the
I
first
missed the first one because I was in Toronto at another case comp, but
I'm gonna rescind. Because you can reconsider 2 meetings past, not 1, according to standing regulations.
Standing reg 78.
62. The council may reconsider retroactive requests for excusal by 3/4 majority vote no later than 2 regular meetings after the absence.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
That's
I have that as.
That's just another set of our regulations not making sense.
It's 62 on the updated version.
Oh, I see. Cool. Okay, thanks for that. So then there's discussion on the retroactive excusal of Tamer. If not, we can proceed to a vote. Okay, those in favor of retroactively excusing Tamer from February 11th council meeting? Thank you. Those opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that carries. James?
I'm gonna call for the orders today.
Okay, well, given that we have no one left to excuse, and if no one has any requests for retroactive excusals, we can certainly move along with the agenda. Which brings us to approval of the agenda, which we can now modify or pull something from the consent agenda. Ben?
Yeah, I'd like to remove judicial board appointment, and I would like to move MSA Solidarity to informational instead of substantive.
Okay, so that's striking judicial board, and we want to say solidarity and information. Okay. James?
I'd like to pull Cusacor and the VP Loyola report, please.
Okay. Can we put that in new business information?
Anywhere you like.
Okay, thanks, James. Are there any other requests for modifying the agenda? Okay, if there's nothing else, then we can proceed to the approval of the agenda. Those in favor of approving the agenda as it is, raise your hands. Okay, those opposed? And any abstentions? Great, that carries. Okay, so with the consent agenda approved, and no presentation of guest speakers, that takes us directly to appointments, starting, well, the only point now, which is the YOLO committee. So, David, go ahead.
Once again, if there are any councilors who are interested in seeing the YOLO committee, there's one seat available.
I nominate.
You'd like to nominate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jenna, if she'd like to.
Sure.
Okay, so you accept. Well, would you like to motivate as far as why you'd like to have her be on the YOLO committee?
I feel like she was doing a great job before, and if she has the time now, you know, then maybe she'd like to do it again for the last month.
Okay. If you accept, then that goes to speakers list then, as discussion goes. Susie?
She was great on photo committee. She should come back.
I left to make room for counselors. No one wants it. She's going back, I guess.
Okay, thank you very much. If there's no further discussion, we can proceed to a vote then. Those in favor of appointing Jenna to the YOLO committee, please raise your placards. Those opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that carries. Thanks very much. And that does it for the appointment points. With no returning business, we can go straight actually to the first new business informational point, pulled by James, the CUSA report.
I had some questions for the CUSA directors. Are we ever going to have a shareholders meeting as stipulated by CUSA Corp's bylaws, which is supposed to happen once a quarter and haven't happened yet this year? Or not? That's to any of the directors?
Yeah, would somebody like to speak to that? Ben?
Now that you've requested one, yes, we will have a second.
Perfect. That's the answer I love here.
There's very little to, honestly, there's very little going on. It's just business plan.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's just stay with what we're
Of course,
supposed to.
yeah.
Second question, I don't know if you'll be able to answer because usually Kate fields the Reggie's random questions. But have you, or has CUSA Corp or the CSU received an outline of the work that will be done in the space during the renovation process? In any more specifics than it's going to cost this much at the end of it? Like more of a specified breakdown, an updated one? Or?
We haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay. That was it.
Okay.
Do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I just want to add that we're just about done with the uni, and then it's going to tender. So
Okay.
once it goes to tender, then hopefully, whatever firm will be taking it on, we'll have some more explicit details, but again, yeah, it'll be hard to know until the work starts and what happens. But we can talk about that next meeting when we have a little shareholders meeting.
Okay, well, Ben and then James.
The meeting's tomorrow with the university, and then hopefully we can finalize things like who pays for what tomorrow. It should be okay. Yeah.
That was my next question. Has there been a final discussion on the cost breakdown of each party's obligations?
Care to respond?
You
have-
answered already, so tomorrow at the meeting you're
Yeah,
gonna
we have the university's understanding of the situation.
Okay.
It's-
Thanks.
Alright. That does it as far as inquiries for the Cusico report, then we can proceed to the next point. Okay, the Loyola report. James, so there's you too.
Oh, I just wanted to ask you about the Loyola office move, because you mentioned in your report that hasn't happened yet because the finalized plans haven't occurred, or you haven't received any, or the meeting hasn't happened. Why is that? I'm a little concerned because the plans were nearly completed at the end of last year. So I don't know what the delay is there, and if the delay has anything to do with our preference for not removing ourselves from that space and facilitating the university's plan to put in another Chartwell's-like food provider where our office is now.
Go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with that. It's the construction team getting updated that there was like electrical problems that they didn't foresee while doing the construction, so that delayed them a couple of weeks. Essentially, like I wrote in my report, it could be done within, like by the end of the month, like right around beginning of April time. And after having discussions with the construction team as well as like the office coordinator, and I still have yet to talk to services, but I can talk to them soon. I think it just makes sense to do the launch in September rather than like during final exams or like right at the end, rather than have like a launch when school's over, have like a launch at the start of next year. So whoever comes in next year will be able to like put that on as a project. But the construction has nothing to do with not wanting to move from our space. They're only planning on doing construction in the current Loyola office space in like August.
Alright, that addresses everything as far as Loyola goes. We can move on to the third point of informational business, which is MSA Solidarity. Ben, I believe this is your point.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much just wanted to give an update. I put it on the agenda in substantive originally because actually it was just to see, just in case something came up. But since nothing has substantiated itself, in the meantime, I thought I'd just put it in informational. So basically, we made a statement about the situation that was going on between TVA, the Quebecois media outlet, and the way that they treated the MSA. It was very unprofessional and aggressive, to use the words of the university that they eventually used. They didn't use those words originally, but I think a certain amount of pressure brought them to say those things publicly. I honestly think they probably felt that in the beginning, but there's a big difference between an institution saying that and institutional actors feeling that. So anyways, it was pretty gross, the behavior. It definitely painted them with a very scary brush. There were 6,000 members of the MSA, and there are radical texts. And of course, this is happening at the same time that the federal government, or the reigning federal party anyways, is putting out quite a lot of materials to encourage people to be afraid of, I don't know, this looming threat of terrorism from, I guess, anyways, I don't know the specific wording to use here, but from, I don't know, what the words that they use are jihadi. So anyways, the context there, the context that we're in is, I think, begs for groups like ours to speak out in support of our community groups, like the MSA. So we did this. I spoke with the MSA a good deal. Originally, they asked me not to make a public statement because I was telling them that this is really the effects of this kind of attention on their community affects their community primarily, and so I wanted them to be leading the way. So I told them that we were going to support them however they needed. That I think that was the most important thing that we could do, was tell them that we were there. I think that's largely why we exist as well. You know, they make the decisions for themselves because it affects them directly. So eventually I made a public statement because at some point it becomes necessary, I think, for groups like ours to say something, but that was after a while. So I talked to them a good deal. The MSA seemed to think that our support was, I think the word was, it was amazing support, which was pretty nice. So because they seemed as though they were quite vulnerable at first, which I think is really unfortunate. I also briefly spoke with the university. I obviously spoke with my team, a few other campus groups. We issued a statement to Ricochet Media, and we issued something on Facebook. If people think that we should pursue additional action, I'm open to hear that. But I'm cautious just because the MSA seems to really just want this to go away, and I think it's pretty understandable. Yeah.
Thank you. If there was any points or questions on the issue, Marcus?
Wait, point of information, is that in motion?
No, this is just an informational update.
Okay.
Hey.
I just wanted to congratulate the executives on the rapid response and getting into contact with the MSA quickly after it happened, because I think those immediate signs of support are really important and that kind of thing happens in a big campus community.
Hammer.
Somebody who is a member of the MSA, I would also like to congratulate the executive on a fine job. I think that you've supported them in the best way possible, so thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that update, Ben. That concludes that point. We can move on to new business, substantive. The only item on the agenda is the daycare project coordinator point. Ben, are you addressing this point, or?
Ben must
Okay.
Do you mind opening for it?
Yeah, sure. So we met with the university. Terry and myself met with Roger Cote and members of his team. It seems as though we are, and the gist of that meeting was we're both waiting on each other. So we are waiting on them to essentially say that they're going to secure a lease for a space that we need so that we can continue applying for the certification that we need through the government to get subsidies and things like this to move forward. But they're waiting on us to show like a certain level of commitment to it. And that, I guess, the situation is that if they secure this space for us, then essentially they won't have a tenant in this space for the next little while. It is a commercial space, or anyways, it could be a commercial space. So there's a certain loss of revenues there. So this creates a sense of urgency for us to move on it. So I told them that we would put a point on the agenda, even though we weren't ready with the documentation at that point. It's a pretty simple, like it's insubstantive for a reason. So basically what we want to do is hire somebody to continue, and Terry will explain more of the details of the actual, the responsibilities of this person. I know the financial breakdown. So we essentially need to put aside $2,300, and this is not including the taxes and things like this that would have to be put on top of that, because I didn't do the math for the taxes, but $2,300 plus taxes to hire somebody to produce the report that Terry will be able to explain a little bit in more detail. But the gist of it is that we will need to approve of this expense if we want to move forward, and I think that it's a good idea because it shows the university that we're committed, and actually they are working with us on this, so I think it's a good idea.
Well, Terry, I'd like, if you want to elaborate on that, sure, but just before, so I'm clear, was there a motion attached to that?
I'll let Terry.
Okay, sure, then the speaker list can begin, so with Terry.
Okay, so I guess I'll start by moving that council approves the expense of $2,300 before taxes to be used for the purposes of hiring like a coordinator, a project coordinator for the daycare initiative.
Okay. So that's the motion being proposed. Is that clear to everybody, or do we need to have it repeated? Okay, great. Marcus, are you seconding it? Okay. Do you care to further motivate?
Yeah, can people hear me okay? All right, so like Ben had mentioned, this was a relatively time-sensitive matter. The research that we had conducted in the fall semester that was approved by council looked at kind of a general case for opening daycares. We had been in consultation with Laval University and McGill, SMU specifically, on the processes and the general legislative framework that's being exercised through the Ministry of the Family. However, now we're at a stage where we need to look at the Concordia specific situation. We have a very thorough understanding of what our application is going to look like now, because we know where the space is, what the potential capacity could be, and we just need the project coordinator to, I guess, remove the speculation in the discussions that we're having with the university. So the work contract is divided into two phases. What's been motioned is the approval of the first phase, which is to make formal contacts with government agencies, produce
the information that would be required for an application for a permit and subsidies, and seek the potential to have further subsidies for renovations and like construction work that would have to be done to bring the space up to code. And then the second phase of the work contract, which isn't being asked of council to approve, is to work on more of the operational side of the daycare by making recommendations and following through with things like the permits and grants and subsidies. So obviously at that point, when we're at the second phase, I'll be returning to council presumably with a lot more information on specifics, and we can expedite the process.
Great, cool, thank you. Ben?
Yeah, I just wanted to amend it to specify that it's an expense from the Silk Fund. So at the end, where it describes the expense, just to be taken out of the Silk Fund, subject to the approval of the fund committee, but that's implied no matter what, I think.
Okay, so there's a motion to amend that motion to include that it's being sponsored being taken from the Silk Fund.
I just want to second it. I'm just really tired, sorry, about to mention that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
It was Ben's motion, right? So can he just add it to his own original motion?
It was actually not Ben's motion, it was Terry's.
Oh, it's Terry's motion.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the amendment is.
I said nothing.
The amendment is Ben's. But if there's no subsequent
No
discussion, then it
things.
can be considered a friendly amendment. Okay, nobody has any discussion, then that keeps it. Take us back to the people's list. All right, if there's no discussion on this point, then we can proceed to a vote. Oh, Scott?
What's the, I'm assuming it's an hourly wage that you're paying?
Mm-hmm.
What's the rate?
The rate's $75. Yep.
Okay, done.
I'm just going to specify why now. Essentially, this person is a consultant. We're not like doing like a hiring process. We know who we want to go with. It's somebody who's already been in a very similar position for a very similar organization elsewhere that had a daycare of the same sort. So this person's essentially an expert. The hours are very minimal, but that's, yeah. It's essentially the consultant fee, so. Yeah. Also, for perspective, we pay $100 per hour for consultants regularly. Like that's how much the consultants cost. So, yeah.
All right, well, that exhausts the speakers list, and we can proceed to a vote. Does anyone want the motion reread before the vote?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to do
Motion that council approves the expense of $2,300 before taxes to be used with the purpose of hiring a project coordinator for the daycare initiative to be taken out of the Silk Fund.
One question. The amount, will it include taxes afterwards? Like you're taking just 20?
Tax on
Tax, so before tax? I'm still confused. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so that was a motion that we're currently voting on. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Okay, those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you very much, that carries. So with new business concluded, this takes us into question period and business arising. So the floor is now open for any kind of business arising or any questions either from the public or from council or executives. Jeremy and then Tim.
I'm just curious about the poster policy with the elections and the taking down of all the other posters, because I noticed that like within FASA, like the fine arts, a lot of people posted the past 2 days for end of the year events where they've like spent $75 printing posters and maybe more. Like Art Matters, for instance, is having their festival. All of the posters in the EV specifically have been taken down, and so now there's no information about the location of their events, and I'm just wondering if this is reasonable. Like, does every single bulletin board inside each building need to be completely empty for elections?
Okay, do you want to address anything in particular, or
somebody, Ben?
Yeah.
I think a part of it might be because the CEO's a bit new, and maybe he was expecting there to be more space. But today there was a complaint that was made. This isn't why we did it, but there was one complaint that was made, so I offered our mailing list or whatever and our Facebook. But afterwards, one of our staff members actually went around and he approached the CEO and asked, since there's not that many people running, if we could reduce the amount of boards that are reserved for it. So we've cleared some of the space up now. I'm not sure the specific amount. Maybe Charles has the specific amount, but I can't speak to the process of clearing out all of the boards originally. I imagine it was. I imagine the CEO felt like that's what he was supposed to do.
Did you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's because it's a new CEO. Because the same thing happened last year.
Oh, yeah, it happens, yeah, yeah.
So like everything's taken off.
Charles, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I spoke with the CEO before. He's taking roughly 25% of the posters, the designated poster space down. But I'll also send him an email to talk about the BA and let him know that that has come from a board member. That you guys want more poster space here, specifically for end of year events. And I'm sure he was really understanding when it came to the poster space, so I'm sure he can do something about it.
Okay, great. So I had Tamer, and then Chloe, and then James.
I'm still relatively new on the board, so I'm not fully sure about the procedures, but to the best of my knowledge, any counselor is allowed to sit on any standing committees meetings. So I would just like to formally request that I be notified about FinCom's meetings, because I would like to attend.
Is that addressed to anyone in particular?
I don't know.
Chair.
The chair of FinCom. There you go. That's what I'm addressing it to.
Yeah, I'll get yours. I'd like to get your email.
I will give you my email right after the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, great. Chloe. Okay, James.
I was curious, you mentioned that they spend like a decent amount of money on these posters. Are they going to be reimbursed by the CSU by any chance? Or do they want to be reimbursed by the CSU and we can pass a motion to mandate the executive to approve that out of the election fund budget or something? Because if it's like $40 for small member associations, or it's a considerable amount of cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable making a motion like that because I think like we should reimburse them. Like I'd be pissed because like our address is postering in every single building, not just the finance buildings, and so. Okay, so I put their nice little booklets out on the table.
Alright, thanks. Go ahead.
On that case, then I'm going to move that the CSU executive contact student groups who have had their posters removed. That should be fun. With an offer to reimburse printing expenses or printing costs of the posters.
Okay, so that's the motion being proposed. Seconded, John. Okay, would you care to further motivate?
I'm actually, if I can change it, I'm gonna mandate the VP Student Life to do it. I'm sorry, only because
Okay.
Kate's not here, I would have done her.
Oh, well, Charles would like to respond to that.
So I'm just thinking about how I'd be able to contact people. Maybe I'm just worried I wouldn't be able to contact everyone. So if you can send people to me specifically, I'll get them reimbursed. And yeah, I don't know if that's not really an amendment. Maybe someone can figure out how to make that an amendment in the motion that James has proposed.
Okay, I suddenly have a very long speakers list, starting with Ben.
I was just gonna say, I'm just gonna put a limit to the top amount that we're allowed to have for posters, which is 75. So we're not gonna exceed 75 reimbursements, preferably. But yeah.
So is that a motion to amend?
I mean, I don't know if it's necessary to amend. It's really just us being subject to the university's policies or having some kind of a limit. But I mean, if people print it out, if they give us a receipt for 1,000 posters, I mean, that's a little much, I think. But, yeah.
Okay. All right, Terry, I think I had you next.
Yeah, I was gonna, I'm gonna motion to amend that the CSU, or I guess Charles in this case, gets in contact with FASA. So that I feel like FASA is very knowledgeable of which groups were affected, and that just might save everyone some time. So I motivate it. A motion to amend.
Yeah, so the motion is to amend to include the VP Student Life contact FASA in order to inform them, the groups, about reimbursement. Did you get that? Okay, great. Is there a second for the amendments? Chloe? Okay. Terry, I suppose you've done your fair share of motivating then. Okay, so this is a discussion on the motion to amend. Okay, if there's no discussion on that, we can proceed to see if it's a friendly amendment. If there's no discussion, that's accepted. There were a few people that were on the speakers list, but now we're going to have to create a new one now that the speakers list for the amendment is over. So if some folks want to speak. Jason?
I didn't hear if your motion stipulated that it needs to be substantiated with receipts. Like, is that that's part of it? Because it wasn't mentioned. The cap wasn't mentioned, and the substantiated claim wasn't mentioned. So I just hope that that's included. Would an amendment be needed for that?
I think it's understood. We can't get any money from the CSU without a
If it's unnecessary, as long as everyone understands that's the going forward.
Okay, Ben?
I was just gonna say, we're gonna execute this as appropriate. Yeah, it's not gonna, like, it'll be, stuff like that will be included. People will have to have some kind of proof.
Bills.
Don't worry.
Charles, is that your plan to go on?
It's okay. Research.
Speaker list is open. Okay, if not, then we can proceed to a vote. Does anyone want the motion reread first?
Sorry.
That's so loud.
Payback groups whose posters were torn down.
sorry.
Contact FASA. That was the motion.
The motion is for the CSU executive to contact student groups who've had their posters removed with an offer to reimburse the printing costs of the posters. And the amendment is that Charles gets into contact with FASA about a reimbursement. And I think there was a $75 limit somewhere in there as well.
75
Actually, that wasn't amended officially.
I don't think it was formally amended, no. Yeah, Mike.
Just because, just to be sure we close all of our gaps, I'd like to move to amend that it's posters that were ripped down by the CRO or his representatives, because I don't want any group saying, hey, I had my posters torn down by John Smith, now I want the CSU to reimburse me. No one will do that, but as it's stated in a motion, it's a possibility for people to take advantage of the union.
Okay. Second that motion then? Or that motion to amend?
From my understanding, it's the security who usually take down the posters.
Oh.
Because the election things are put up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, does that affect?
May I change it?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Move to amend that it says that posters were torn down to make room for CSU election material.
Okay, sure. Is there a second over that? Yeah. Okay, try to motivate that.
Motivation?
No.
Alright, take a breath. Yeah, quick question. Is this per poster or per organization? Because if it's like an organization that's made 5 different posters for 5 different things.
I think we can charge them $70.
I'm just gonna make good judgment calls when groups come to me and go move forward based on trust and how legit people are being. So if someone is sketchy, I'm just not gonna refund them. But if I can tell someone is being real and actually, put up a bunch of posters, even though there was maybe Art Matters put up 6 for all of their events, 6 different ones, so they have a couple hundred. That'll be fine. So
where's the trust?
Where's the trust? I don't know. If you're good luck.
I'm just gonna say there's a good chance that we're probably gonna just work with the parent organization, whichever it is. We're not gonna work with the smaller groups because, for ASFA, for example, it's ASFA that deals with the reimbursements and things like this. So they'll know we're not gonna just give money to individuals. We're going to give it to the organizations. So there will be caretaken and these sorts of things according to which organization we're talking to. But yeah, we're not just going to be giving money to people. Yeah.
Since we have all these lovely printers and printing quality, why don't we just offer to do the next batch of posters we do instead of handing it to another person with profits?
Okay, well, Charles, if you want to respond to that.
I will also offer to print posters in-house.
Thanks, Charles. Okay, just because it's exhausted for the amendment, we can proceed with a vote. Or if no further discussion and no objections, we can have that be a friendly amendment. Okay, I'll take that as a friendly amendment then. Which turns us back to the main motion that we're voting on, the speakers list. Well, there's no speakers list, so the question doesn't need to be called. Does anyone need the motion reread with the new amendment?
No, great, as is.
Those in favor of the motion, please raise your placards.
Posters. It's posters.
Listen, I want to know what I'm saying.
And opposed. Abstentions? Alright, thank you, that carries. So we're still on the question period and business harassing. Okay, that exhausts that, then we can proceed to announcements. Michael?
Can I go back to the question period, or is it too late?
Oh, you wanted to do that for a question period?
Yeah, super quick question.
Yeah.
Do we have any updates in terms of dates that Reggie's might open? I know it was announced last council meeting. Has that date been updated, or is it remaining unchanged?
I mean, Kate might be quick to respond if it's
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Ben?
We're still hopeful for September.
Okay, so next January it is. Jokes.
Okay, so if there are no further questions, no business arising, we can proceed to announcements. All right, Randy, go ahead.
It's currently the third day of Israeli Apartheid Week, and the upcoming Monday, we will be bringing 2 Israelis, one former Israeli soldier and one refusnik, a woman who refused to take part of the Israeli army. They will be coming to Concordia, March 16th, 7th floor at 6 o'clock. They will be talking about the importance of boycotting from within, so BDS. It's going to be a different setting than the campaign. We will also have a question period, so everybody's welcome to learn more about BDS and maybe to learn the truth, because we know from the CEO report that lies have been told.
On a considerably less academic note, one of the representatives from the Comms Guild asked me to throw out an offer for collaborations through the university's networks for an event called Raging Face, which is happening at the end of this year. It happened last year as well, which basically is a giant alcoholic's dream that I think takes place at Saint-Sulpice.
Yeah,
I didn't go.
Saint-Sulpice,
Yeah?
I didn't go either, but
and it's mostly this, like, if student associations have cash at the end of the year that they want to contribute, it doesn't take very much. Some groups put in like $40 or whatever, and you promote it.
$40?
Bring students out to drink.
Okay, just 1 second. John, go ahead.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I'm helping organize it. And basically, if any of your networks want to get involved, we like to put your name on the back of the shirt, and you buy a bunch of shirts for everyone. And it's like, it's worth it. It's cool. And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right, thank you. Jenny, go ahead.
So the 12th and up till the 19th is FIFAC, Festival International des Films Ethnographiques du Québec, an ethnographic film festival put on by the anthropology and sociology students. It's at Concordia, McGill, and EDM. Get more information.
Yeah. On Saturday, March 14th, the blocks of films that are being shown at Concordia. This one's in the EV building. It's territorial exploitation and local resistance. And then the second block is called Coping Through Art. And then on Sunday, March 15th, the block of films that's being shown, like the theme of the day is the tensions of daily life. And it's going to be really awesome.
And it's free.
Totally free.
Okay, I had Jason and then...
Harrison.
Okay, so Charles and Lucy.
Great. Vandana Shiva is speaking tomorrow night at H110. I'd just like to do a quick call out for anyone that wants to volunteer, just doing flyers in front of the event, helping with crowd control. So we expect the venue to be like super over capacity, and it's free. So if you want to come and just hand out flyers and just help in general with crowd control, that would be appreciated. I'll be at the venue starting around 5:30.
All right, thanks. Lucy. Sin. John, do you want to speak?
Yeah.
There's a conference coming up through SASU and the Sociology Anthropology Graduate Student Association. It's called Hope, Freedom, and Responsibility, and it's starting on March 19th and it goes till the 21st. And throughout this time, honors people will be presenting their theses, PhD students will be presenting their research, and there's a keynote speaker, Charmaine A. Nelson, happening, and there'll be a lot of wine and cheeses as well as an ending party if you're interested in learning about what sociologists and anthropologists do.
Thank you. Jason.
All right, my fraternity Tau Kappa Epsilon is having a glow-in-the-dark party tomorrow at Lux Lounge. You're all invited. Anyone you might know, invite them. It'll be $15 at the door with a drink on the way in. We'll be having a great time. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Jason. Lucy.
Yeah, I do have something to say. On March 21st and 22nd, I know the schedule is not out yet, but it will be soon. It's something done every year through both Cupid and McGill and Cupid Concordia. Study in Action, which is an academic conference which brings together students, faculty, community members to present papers, presentations, workshops, whatever, on a wide variety of social justice issues. It's usually pretty rad.
Okay.
And that'll be here, I think, but that's coming up.
Thank you. Scott.
Yo, I just want to congratulate Michael for winning gold at JMUC, which is a really big deal in business student terms. It's like basically a bunch of schools from across the world, 24 of them specifically, came in, and JMSB won first, and Michael was on the team. Business and numbers.
Yeah. Going off that again, I'd like to congratulate him for winning the CEO for a Day challenge. It's also announced. So.
I can say that Michael Schott.
James.
I'd like to congratulate this council for being very nice and chill and relaxed during an election campaign, because historically the CSU's March meetings when the elections are happening are horrendous. So it's a pretty good one. You're all amazing.
Oh yeah.
So many conditions.
Something I appreciate.
So many conditions.
All right.
I move to adjourn.
Marcus already said it.
Ah, shit.
I'm gonna give it to Marcus because the placard is already up. Marcus. All right, seconded. Lucy. Adjournment. Please raise your placards.
Guys, fastest meeting so far this year.
Those opposed?